it was really beautiful. It was genuinely really beautiful, and I just felt like engaged and really captivated by all of the characters and the way that they related to each other. And I think that was like the main thing that drew me to this film, was like how character driven the story is. Like there's this like one central conflict, like this one event that happens, and then there's so many relationships that kind of like move and shift and change around that event. And I thought that was really, really interesting. Well, I loved working with Zach because he is also an actor, and so I feel like he brought that perspective into directing this film. And I think like very specifically he created a really safe environment for us all to like dive into this kind of subject matter and into these kinds of like feelings and emotions. And I think bringing his perspective of being an actor, you know, in that lens, into his work directing just made me feel so much more like safe and comfortable, you know, diving into these kind of like difficult experiences that these characters are going through. So it was really a pleasure working with Zach, and I think it's so important that he like very intentionally created a safe environment for us all. And these experiences of loss and grief are things that so many people right now are feeling and experiencing. And I know that he brought in his own life experience when writing this story. And so I think he really is the perfect person to tell this story because it is his story, you know? So it was really a pleasure to be a part of that. Florence is amazing. Florence is amazing, hands down. I remember I had this like really big scene, and I had been working on it, and it was something where it was like my audition scene, and also something like as soon as I booked the part, I was like, this scene is like the thing that is the most intimidating and the scariest thing I've ever had to do. Like the scariest thing I've ever had to do, hands down, as an actor. And I remember like calling her, and I was like, Florence, like what do I do? What if this doesn't go this way, if it doesn't go as planned or whatever? And she was just like the absolute sweetest. She reassured me and gave me the best advice. She was like, listen, whatever happens in the moment is what is supposed to work with her, because, you know, it was on like the technical side, it was like a master class working with her and Morgan, but also on like the kind of interpersonal, emotional side, it was so like fun and comfortable, and I felt so like safe and taken care of. Working with Morgan Freeman was incredible. When I found out I was going to be working with Morgan, I freaked out, as any normal person would. And I think it really was such a pleasure and such an absolute honor to be able to have Morgan just as a scene partner and to learn from him and to create something together. Was just an opportunity and experience of a lifetime. And so I'm deeply, deeply grateful for my experience working with Morgan Freeman. Ryan's relationship with Allison is complicated. I think that ultimately Ryan's need for support, for a friend, for community guidance, all of these things kind of override the like hatred she has for Allison and what happened. And I think in a weird way, Allison is like the only other person who understands how she's feeling to some degree, right? Because they have this shared experience. the title A Good Person to me, in terms of Ryan and her experiences and her as a character, I think has a lot to do with her feelings of just unfairness, like she thinks of herself as a good person and as somebody who is not deserving of all of the grief and the loss that she's experienced. So yeah, I think the title means a lot. And then even to Daniel, I think there's even a part in the script where he says, "I'm a good person, I've taken you into Allison." And so I think that this title kind of has to do with like the internal conflicts that all of these characters are experiencing between, you know, like their own self-perception and what they think they're capable of and what they think they deserve versus the reality of what has actually happened to them, you know.